get in here, because
Malcom M.J. Harris is an internationally recognized financial services CEO, motivational speaker, and social media influencer.
Hey, my love. So let me tell you this. Dreams come true. They come true every single day.
Today, we talk about his journey to success.
A level playing field to be whoever you want to be. That's the gift. When
The ups and downs.
You gotta shed some shit. You gotta just shed. You gotta shed. So you only are left with absolutely what is needed.
And his approach to running life and business.
What I always ask people, and I ask myself this even when I'm tempted not to trust it within myself, when has that voice ever been read?
This is Coffee and Conversations, Secrets of Success.
Yes, you're going for your walk.
We wanted to create something that was inspiring, empowering, relatable. A safe space that we can discuss life and career as it relates to us. I believe that we all have different journeys, but similar struggles. Why not learn from each other by listening and conversing? That's what it's all about. For us, by us. This is Coffee and Conversations.
How do we define success?
Well, I think that when you think about defining success, the key to defining is recognizing that there is no one definition of what success is. Success is, are you living a life that is on a trajectory that you are happy with and that brings you peace, joy, and most importantly, the expectation of something better for tomorrow? I think that if you can answer those questions, then you're living a successful life. It's not measured by what's in your bank account. It's not measured by if you have a partner by your side or not. It's not measured by your weight or your fitness or how you photograph for the gram. It is measured by how do you feel about your own life and where you see that life going.
Right. I always say that success is a mindset, and a lot of people really correlate it with money, which that's a big part of it.
I think for some people, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's really a holistic view. I love what you said in your Truth Awards, and I believe in another video as well. You said what you see is not a successful CEO, but what you see is an example of a person that has embraced himself.
And for me, I would say my success is largely, from the outside looking in, is obviously measured by the mass appeal that I have, is measured financially. But I don't measure my success journey by those things alone. I measure my success journey and how I got to this point by living authentically and being able to have all the material things that come in life through living a life of authenticity that works for me, being my full self. So my journey to success has been all over the place. You know, one of the things that I'm very transparent about and very clear with folks about was that I did not get into this business of show, you know what I mean, being on camera, I did not get into this space, nor did I get into the financial industry because they were my passion. They all just kind of happened. I was going with the flow of life. I got into the financial industry because I hated my corporate job and I was looking for a way to earn extra money. And I needed to earn enough extra money that I could eventually leave my full-time job pretty easily. I was working as a management consultant, so I needed to make good money, couldn't sell trinkets. I wanted to sell something that could make me good money. And financial services was an opportunity for that. I came into the, the entertainment industry completely by accident. I never expected it for success to come like this, never. I had a boyfriend at the time who was in the music industry, and he marketing kind of guy. And he says, "Sweetheart, I think you'd be really good on camera. Because when we talk one-on-one, you are so insightful and you are so funny." And he's like, and the world should see that. So I figured, well, okay. So he said, there's this thing called YouTube. I knew nothing about it. This was 12, 13 years ago, something like that. And no, just now 12 years, actually. I knew nothing about what that was. And he made a video for me and made my YouTube page or showed me how to make it, I think. And we put me up, and it has just been phenomenal ever since then. And so for me, my journey of success has come from me going with the flow, trying different things, not having a dogmatic or a rigid view on what success should look like, being open to new possibilities is crazy because what initially got me some success was doing financial videos in suits, very covered up. I'm MJ Harris. I'm here to talk to you about living your best life. Nothing wrong with that. Today, my highest viewership comes largely from adult and or erotic content, my story times and things of that nature. Success continues to evolve what it looks like for me, but I think the one constant for me is that I am open to all outlets of what success looks like, and I understand that I am limitless. And for me, if I want to continue to live in my full potential, I have to do the same thing I recommend to anyone else to do who's watching, which is to have an open mind for the many, many, many ways that your gifts can be expressed within the world. Because what could take you to success may be a very different looking vehicle than what you originally imagined, but that success will also be bigger than what you imagined.
That's good. That's good. And one thing that I got when I watched your videos is a secret recipe to success. You say, figure out what you do well and naturally, and then connect that to technical ability. And like you said, you went out and you got the knowledge to do financial services, but your success, you to connect with people. And I love that. And then you also said, do what makes you happy. I love that.
Yeah, I'll tell you that for me, I could be selling trees. I could be selling lip gloss. I could be selling anything at the end of the day, or doing anything at the end of the day, and probably doing it pretty well, as long as I brought my natural, unique ability to it. My unique ability is my ability to communicate in a very clear and relatable way that helps people to see themselves in whatever it is I'm talking about. My ability is to influence. That's my gift. And as long as I was willing to understand what my unique ability was, I could have applied that to anything and found success in it. So that's what I encourage people to do. Identify what is your unique God-given ability. Maybe it's through a way you communicate. Maybe it's through a way that you see the world. Whatever it may be, identify what that is. And then you start thinking about how can I apply that to different economic engines that can then help me to grow wealth for myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Give us a little bit of knowledge about our own personal journeys to success. Obviously, we come in contact with speed bumps or obstacles, giving people who value you the time of day, that journey.
In the beginning of my career, I was when people first started seeing my videos in mass, one of the things that people would say about me was, he's very dismissive in his messaging. It's like, if you're not on the same page, then he's done with you. And that was the gripe at first. I think that now people seeing how my career has played out, they kind of say, well, maybe he was right about this whole thing. Because clearly it's working out a bit. It's not that I mean to be dismissive, but I do have a clear philosophy that I share with anybody. There are 7 billion people on the face of the earth. And I think that as Black people, and especially as same gender loving Black people, we've got to break free from this mindset that somehow or another we need to go after paths that our community always agrees with, whether it's the African American community, your Christian community, your same gender loving community, whatever. The bottom line is that your success may not come through a lane that your community understands or even likes. Or your community may not even be your audience at the end of the day, whatever that means. I'll give you a prime example. When I started out in the business, I was going after gay men as my clients, same gender loving men as my clients, as well as my viewing audience, because that was my community. I was in DC, Chocolate City. That was my world. Only time I was around straight people was when I was in my office. You see what I'm saying? When I was outside of work, I was around the kids. I was around my family, my girls. And so for me, it was a natural decision to build business and build content that was geared towards that audience. And I will tell you, I was not received very well in the beginning with that audience.
Really?
Love my same gender. No, God, no. God, no. I just think this, and I could be wrong, but I feel like as a Black gay man, this is controversial. I'm sure some people will not agree. But I feel like as a Black gay man, one of the observations I've had of our community is that we tend to be more accepting of content, products, and services that come from outside of our community. You have a diva with a wig on in heels and sequins, and it's like, yes, bitch, yes. And she could be doing the most subpar piece of content, piece of art, piece of product. But when a Black gay man does the same thing, it's like we hold each other to an infinitely higher bar in terms of quality and everything else before we will support it consistently, you know? And for me, that was very challenging because I was naive to that. I thought that, oh, these are the same people I party with, these same people I hang out with, these are the same people that I'm around constantly. These are going to be the people who are going to naturally support my efforts to grow a business and do whatever I did. But that was not the case at all. And so what I ended up finding along the way was that I had to have a more open mind to recognize that my audience, my tribe, those people, my amen crew, as my mother would say, is the people who rock with me and the people who value me. Rather, that's Black women, which is a large part of my audience at this point in time. Rather, it's Asian men. Rather, it's whoever. My job is to be the best version, the most full version of myself that I can be. That's your job too. And then you let the chips fall where they may. Wherever you see the people are valuing you most towards, you cater all your energy towards that group. It doesn't mean that you don't care about this group over there or that group over there. What it means is that you came into this life to let your light shine and let it shine bright. And you have to let that light shine specifically on the people who appreciate your light most. I think that's been one of the biggest success lessons I've gotten.
Yeah, I just spoke with someone, and what I really took away from that is that it's your responsibility to make sure you're successful. It's your responsibility to take your vision and make it happen. Because a lot of times I have my own event management business, and a lot of times when you start out, you're trying to get family members, friends, or colleagues to utilize your services, and you're chasing down these people.
It's hard.
Right. And
it's so hard.
What you said is so true. You have to go and find your audience and make it happen. Make it happen for yourself.
That's how I feel about it. It's like you go after I have a video. I think what you're referring to is a video that's called "Only Give Your Time to People Who Value You."
Yes.
Now let me be very clear about that. I'm speaking heavily to a career business kind of message, right? But I do think it applies to your personal life too, because when could anyone ever make a reasonable argument? Yes, invest in a relationship where the person doesn't value you. No. So it applies all over the place. But I think that, like I said, for me, I come from a Black, Christian, Southern community where we were raised to turn the other cheek. We were raised family first. We were raised to forgive and almost dismiss deficiencies and sometimes downright abuses of people just because they're family, just because they're close, just because they blood. And I think that mindset for a lot of us extends into how we allow people in our ancillary communities, like the communities based on our sexual orientation, our communities based on whatever other factors. We extend those same graces to them too. And I think it really does hurt our ability to grow businesses. Because like you said, growing your events management business, the reality is that your primary client base may not be your family or friends. It may not be the community that you hang out in. That's fine. How do you learn to make a distinction between saying, okay, I can hang with these people, I can love these people, but I'm not going to try to build my business with these people. I'm going to focus those business building hours of my day on the communities and on the individuals that value me most. And I'm going to do it unapologetically. Okay. And so for me, that was a big success key for me was I chose to focus on the audiences who focus on me. I chose to focus on the customer bases that focus on me. The minute, the second, the hour that I identify that you're not someone who values what I'm bringing to the table, that's fine. But I do in that communication, I do in that interaction, I move on at that point in time. I don't love you any less. But again, doing my business hours, doing my money making hours, I don't waste it on trying to convince anyone of my value.
Right. Another favorite video of yours is trust your instincts about people and relationships.
The one where I was up on the mountain, on the hill?
Yes. You're going for your walk. That spoke to me.
Did it?
Yes. And I feel like it kind of aligns, with the whole, only give your time to people who value you. But give us a little bit of that.
Yeah, I remember I was up on the hill and the friend who was filming me, he was talking about a situation, a dating situation. He's Black gay man, dating situations. that he had, and the person was just dragging him on, ghosting him every now and then. It just was too much. And so I said, give me that. I said, hold my phone and record me. He didn't know what I was about to do. And I record that message. I was really talking to him, but I knew the message I had for him, anyone could apply it. That's the best message when you had a specific person in mind. And so, and he knew it was for him. There was nothing hidden about that. But the point of it is you got to trust your instincts about people. I was just on a call. I told you this before we came on here, before we hit record, that I was ripping and running because one of my team members called me and said, hey, one of the team members is complaining about this. I said, that team member is an issue, and I think that they're a problem. And they said, no, they're not. No, they're not. I just think they said, no. My instincts told me that a long time ago.
Yeah.
I went and dig a little deeper and found out that what I felt was being validated by what the experiences were today. So I went back to my other team member who was coming to me about this, and I said, you got to trust your instincts, because somewhere deep down inside, you too saw what I saw too. Now, we both dismissed it, but our instincts told us probably the same thing about the same person, and we didn't listen. And now here we are trying to clean up for this person's mess, minor mess, but nonetheless, we're still playing cleanup. I think this is a lesson that goes through our life. We don't always follow it, but it certainly needs to be a prevailing lesson that always is there as a beacon of light that we're heading towards, which is getting acquainted with that small inner voice inside of us and learning to trust it more than the voice of anybody else, to trust it more than what anyone else can say or do. Trusting your own inner voice, because what I always ask people, and I ask myself this even when I'm tempted not to trust it within myself, when has that voice ever been wrong?
Preach.
Gotta trust it.
Preach.
My biggest financial failures, my biggest relationship failures, my biggest personal failures always came when I did not trust that voice. The lesson there is trust that voice. You don't have to understand it.
Yeah.
I always tell people, you can see smoke and run. You ain't got to wait to see the fire. Trusting the voice is seeing the smoke and saying, let me get the fuck out of here. Pardon my language. You know what I'm saying?
Or seeing other people run.
Right. How about that? You see them run, so you don't even need to wait for the smoke. Right?
Yeah.
Some people got to wait to get their leg on fire before they run. Trusting your instincts is saying, hold on, what's going on here? Something ain't right. Let me get out of here. I don't got to figure out what. I'll figure out what later. But in the meantime, I just need to go.
Is that the same intuition you used to move to California?
Absolutely. I knew deep down inside of me, it was like, go west, young man. I felt that deep down inside of me. Go to California. You know, people can call it whatever they want. I believe it was the voice of God, my creator, to saying go there. I just had a deep feeling inside of me. I didn't know what California would bring. I had no idea. I didn't come in with any specific aspiration. Like, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Didn't have that vision really at all. I just had a feeling if you go out there, there's going to be something waiting on you out there. And it was a lot waiting on me, some challenges too. But those challenges built me, and some really good fortune that happened for me too. And that's what led me out here. I had no other reason to think to come out here. I think I knew 2 people in LA at the time. One person who's now my attorney, and another person who I knew very peripherally just through a friend who I happen to know live in California. I knew no one here when you really get down to it. I had no job prospect out here. There was no reason to believe my business was going to grow out here because most of my client base is in the Southeast or the United States at that time. You know, I just had a feeling. And I'm so glad I followed that feeling.
Yeah, it was the same for me when I moved out here to Atlanta. And you know, it seems that a lot of us get that voice and said, "Oh, move to Atlanta," but you know, it's amazing because when you act on that voice, and when I got here, it was the grunt and the pull of the grind of trying to make a living. You know, in the thick of it, you don't see like, was this the right decision? You know, should I have even made this move? And then, you know, in hindsight, you're like, thank God I did. You know?
Yes. I couldn't imagine my life if I didn't do this. I don't know what my life would be. I don't think it would have been a bad life. Let me make that very clear. But I don't think that the fullness of it that I experience now, I would have been able to experience. I'll say one of the best things for me leaving DC to come out here was it helped me to change my mindset because, and I'm sure you can identify with this, Nicholas, when you go to a new city and you are, first of all, you have the opportunity to redefine yourself. They say, well, who do I want to be? Because I don't no longer have the ties of everybody back home or everyone from wherever I'm coming from saying, this is who you are and these are the expectations I have on you. Ain't no expectations I got to meet up to outside the ones that I set for myself. So if I'm going to set expectations for myself, who do I want to be? Do I want to redefine myself? Do I want to reinvent myself? You have that option. For me, I feel like this. I love Atlanta. Atlanta is actually my second largest U.S. market, right behind New York. Atlanta's a big market for me. And one of the things I love about Atlanta is what it represents for a lot of people. It is a place where people can come, and in coming, it expands their minds. There's so many different industries, so many different ways to make money, so many different ways to express the fullness of who you are. And people can judge some of those ways of expression. I mean, that's on them to judge it. But my point is, at least the plethora of options exist, right? Whoever you decide you want to be, there's probably a community of people right there in Atlanta or in LA that's waiting to embrace you, right? And to me, that is just so beautiful because we don't always have the luxury where we come from to be able to say, this is who I want to be and have the expectation that there'll be a community of people to embrace me. And I just didn't feel like for the fullness of who I am, I didn't feel like that community was quite as rich in DC to embrace somebody. I mean, imagine in DC walking around, people say, what do you do? Well, I sell insurance online through doing really fun videos, and I'm a social media influencer. People like, so you don't work for the government? You don't do this? What you mean?
Right.
That mindset just isn't prevalent, Now, if I move to Atlanta, if I move to LA, I could find a community of people like, oh my God, girl, yeah, I do the same thing. Or I got 4 friends who do the same thing. Let me connect y'all. And that was just a beautiful thing to be able to come into a place of community with people who were living limitless just like I do.
One of the main ingredients to success is celebrating the accomplishments and turning losses into lessons or learns. Because I feel sometimes we don't celebrate, the little milestones, and then sometimes we beat ourselves up over, the quote unquote failures. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely agree. I think you couldn't have said it any better than that. I will say this, and I know this is one of these things that people say, of course you can say that because you're now successful. I will say this. I want to preface it with that before I say it. I am happy about all the failures that I had because with every failure, it forced me to refine my vision for myself and my next steps. Failures do a really beautiful thing in that they make you question what is necessary, because all the extraneous bullshit, when you're going through a failure, you got to shed some shit. You got to just shed it. You got to shed it. So you only are left with absolutely what is needed. And it makes your mind so focused in a way that abundant times, really, you can't make your mind be quite as focused during those times. They're good. But when you're going through a failure, it makes you say, what is necessary for me to do to not just get out of this, but to prevent this from happening again? And I feel like a failure can be like a refining fire. It really does purify you so that when you go forward, all you got is the good stuff that you really need. And it's just, I'm as sharp as a tack. And today, I am good at what I do. I own what Kobe can do with a basketball, I can do with this mouth on camera in terms of talking. You see what I'm saying? I'm good at what I do. But it came from failure after failure after failure after failure. You go through so many failures, it's like, fuck this. I can only be excellent because I don't want to go through no other failures. And so to me, I've learned to embrace it, although I know it's hard to do it while you're in it, because failures made me who I am today.
Yeah. You're literally the second person that I spoke to that referred to that as a refining fire. And I refer to it as respect, appreciate the process. Because without the process, you may not be ready to step into that interview or that executive office and sell yourself. You may not be ready to launch your business. It may not be your time. And so, like you said, it's a refining fire that purifies you and that prepares you for success. Malcom, any last thoughts on this topic? Give us something to preach to us today, Malcom.
I'll give you a quick message. I'll tell you this to all of my SGL men out there who are watching, I will tell you this: as same gender loving men, we live in a very unique position in society. We have the challenge that can come with being a Black person. We got the challenge that comes with being a Black male, and we got the added challenge of being same gender loving. I don't know too many groups that I would say have it harder than us. Being perfectly real, we are beautiful people. We're very creative. We are very talented. But nothing can take away from the fact that we were born into this life with a set of cards that can sometimes be very challenging to play on a day-to-day basis. But what I need you to know is that what you believe to be a challenge and what may feel like a challenge is actually one of your greatest strengths. Let me tell you this, okay? Because the fact is that because we don't have the universal expectation that we will always be accepted here, accepted there, shit, sometimes even accepted within our own community. Because we can't walk with that expectation, that gives us the freedom to be able to walk as free as we want to be. For you as an individual, you can be whoever you want to be because you don't have the societal pressure of who you have to be as a straight man, or who you have to be as a this person, as a that person. You have a level playing field to be whoever you want to be. That's the gift of being born as a double or triple minority, where it seems like the cards are stacked against you. Baby, if the cards are stacked against me, then I can play this hand however I want to, because there wasn't an expectation I was going to win in the first place. So everything I do is going to knock it out the ballpark. Everything I do is going to shock the hell out of y'all and say, my God, look at what he's doing. So I'm saying, walk within that. Walk within that. Walk within a mindset that I'm going to always exceed expectations. Walk within a mindset of literally, it's my job to be the fullest version of whoever I want to be, and I don't have to live up to anyone's expectations of who I want to be, except who I want to be. And if I change my mind today about who I want to be and want to express myself in the world differently in this way, change careers, change whatever about myself, I got the right to do it because I walk in a freedom that most other people don't have. So recognize that we're not limited. We actually have the freedom. We walk with the freedom to walk with no expectations other than the ones that we place on ourselves. That's a blessing.